So this hour, we're going to be talking to Hilltop Microfinance Initiative, Erica from there. We're going to talk to Carol from Project Knitwell. We're going to talk to Shireen from Sister Mentors, and we're going to talk to Montre from Court-Appointed Special Advocates in Prince George's County, CASA. So I'm going to put that back over there. So before we get started, I'll just remind everybody that we'll give you about 10, 12, 15 minutes, whatever. If you could go through, if each presenter can go through and talk about the organization, and make sure you save time to focus on the gifts that you're going to be giving, the gifts that you have out there, and what goes into those gifts, and why did you decide those gifts, and some other backgrounds and some personal stories. That'd be wonderful. And then we'll take care of the time. We'll let you know if you're running over or if you can keep talking. If anybody has any questions, you can write those questions into the chat and we'll ask those questions at the end. And I also, before we get started, I'll just say that if you want to hear the full story about AGGW, you can go onto the aggw.org website. There's information there. I'd also suggest rewinding back to the first hour. Mimi did a great wrap up of what AGGW is and how long we've been around. Since 1998, we've raised over $300,000. I wanted to go into a little bit about my first experience with AGGW. This is probably 98 or 99. The first gift I bought and the first group I talked to, and this is what made me love AGGW, was a group that you gave money and they trained rats, and big rats, not these old rat, but big rats, to go out and find mines that were planted wherever. And it was incredible that these rats had a way to smell out the mines, and they would demine these fields. And that just blew my mind. It's so cool that there was something out there. I would have never have known about this charity had it not been for Alternative Gifts of Greater Washington. For the past 13 years, I've been running the Alternative Gift Fair at National Education Association, downtown DC. And I like to call it, that's the AAA AGGW. That's where we usually bring in groups first to get their feet wet on how it works. And then we move them over to the major leagues of the AGGW in Tacoma Park. Because as you know, Tacoma Park is a totally different animal than anywhere else in this area, as far as people who give to charities and take the time to join charities and give money to them. So with that all being said, I want to welcome Erica from Hilltop Microfinance Initiative. And let's see, is she on there? Where is she?
There I am.
There you are.
I don't know what it should follow the voice, right? I'm not sure. But yeah, so thank you for that introduction, Jim. And it's great to see everyone, all of your little faces in the squares. It reminds me of my college classes that I do every day, but a lot better. So I'm super happy to be here. It's my first time being part of the Alternative Gift Fair. And it's great to, be with everyone. I'm excited to hear everyone else's stories as well, but for now I'll share mine. So I'm Erica Arnold. I am a junior at Georgetown University in DC, and I'm the Director of Development for the Hilltop Microfinance Initiative, or HMFI. HMFI was founded in 2008 by Georgetown University undergraduate students who were really inspired by the work of Nobel Prize winner Muhammad Yunus and the work that he did in Bangladesh. And he really put microfinance on the world stage and saw how this could be a really viable and impactful solution within the financial services realm. And the people that founded HMFI wanted to bring that to DC and bring it to Georgetown. So presently, we are the nation's largest student-run microfinance initiative, and our real goal is to stimulate economic growth in the DMV area through our two key services, which are our small business loan program and our group financial coaching program. So through our small business loan program, we distribute loans from anywhere from $500 to $10,000 at a fixed interest rate of 6%, which is much more competitive than any commercial bank. But we are not seeking to make a profit, obviously. So we are able to provide a reasonable and affordable rate to our clients. And we use a really unique and holistic underwriting process. We're really trying to help people that are excluded from the traditional lending system for whatever reason, and give them the opportunity to grow their businesses and get off the ground. Through our other key service, our group financial coaching sessions, we started doing those in 2012. And through that, we provide training on various personal finance areas of interest and topics, looking at things like predatory lending, banking basics, building credit, explaining debt, and we primarily conduct those in words 7 and 8, a lot of times in collaboration with some of our partners, some of which are Empowered Women International, Carlos Rosario Adult Public Charter Schools, and we really try to give people that don't have the education about America's really complex financial system, the knowledge that they need to understand how that works so that they can have confidence in financial settings. Since our beginning, we have always been comprised of Georgetown undergraduate students. Right now, there are about 40, 45 of us across our 5 departments, and we're all unpaid volunteers who really do this because we care about it. We think it's really important, and we think that our services are really critical in the area where we are. Doing this, I think I can speak for all of my colleagues, has been really the joy and honor of my time at Georgetown. I'm really excited to share this with you today. So, as I'm sure you are all aware, this year the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously posed many challenges to our organization and, more importantly, to the individuals we serve. Obviously, the effects of this pandemic have had a really disproportionate impact on small business owners and members of marginalized communities. This is especially really prevalent in DC, which is the most unequal city in America, which makes the work of organizations such as HMFI, and I'm sure the organizations that you are all part of as well, really, really important. So with that, my colleagues and I have come up with 3 gifts that you can donate this year that will make a real impact on our organization and, more importantly, the individuals that we serve in the DMV area. So our first gift, this is our low cost gift for $15. You can sponsor a small business owner's loan application and initial meeting with an underwriter or member of our client services team. So with this gift, you'll be able to cover any costs and fees associated with obtaining the materials necessary to apply for a loan, whether that's printing out necessary documents like pay stubs and stuff like that. A lot of times we rely on community references. So if a client doesn't have an access to a printer or a scanner or anything like that, we would be able to cover those costs. And then most times the client will meet in person with a member of the client services team or an underwriter, and you could cover the cost of their transportation if that's not something they can afford themselves. Through this gift, I think you are really able to support our mission of prioritizing equity in our loan process. We would never want someone to not be able to apply for a loan in the first place just because of their financial position. I think that's very critical to the work that we do, and you can help support that. The loan program has always been a hallmark of the organization. We've served many clients. One of our most recent clients, a woman named Tammy. She operates a fitness studio in Prince George's County, and I believe we gave her a loan of around $3,000. Through that loan, she was able to really build out her storefront and make improvements to her studio that would make it more attractive to potential customers, and she was able to grow her business through that loan. So you can support projects like that through that gift. Our next gift for $30 is sponsoring a group financial coaching session. As I mentioned, that is really the other key service of HMFI, is providing these financial coaching sessions to people that do not have the education necessary to really navigate America's really complex financial system. We really want to give those individuals confidence in a financial setting, and these sessions really help us to do that. So we teach, as I mentioned, a variety of modules about personal finance, really warning people against predatory lending, banking basics. As you all know, the financial services system in the United States is really not meant to necessarily help people. And it's really important that people understand and can advocate for themselves when they're put in these settings. And we think that that's really important. So with this gift, you'll be able to sponsor the transportation for HMFI volunteers to go out into the schools and places where we teach these sessions, whether that's Carlos Rosario or Empowered Women International. And then with the support, we can even go further out and hopefully work with more partners to teach more people these important skills in areas in the greater Washington, DC area. You'll also be able to sponsor any materials that we give out at these sessions. A lot of times we'll give a pre-test and a post-test to see what the individuals know coming in and what they know coming out, and also informational pamphlets so that they can take these home with them, what they've learned in the sessions. So right now these sessions are being conducted online, but they will go back to in person when it is safe. So this gift will definitely be super valuable, hopefully at some point very soon, but it will definitely be used and so appreciated. A testimonial that we have of one of our GFC sessions, a woman named Dorothy. She worked with us, went through all of our modules, and she came back and she said, I went to a bank and I knew what they were talking about and I could understand them, and I had confidence in that setting, and I never had that before. So with this gift, you're really giving the opportunity for people to have those stories as a part of their own experience, and I think that is so important. And then the last gift, which will also be for $30, is sponsoring a community networking event for HMFI. So community outreach and networking is really critical to our success. That's really how we meet clients and also how we meet organizations doing similar work to us that we can partner with, and I think really further our impact and achieve our mission of economic equality in the DC area and hopefully someday the entire world. But through these sessions, we will go out either, in Georgetown, not usually, but usually further out and go to like a meetup of similar organizations or a small business expo or something like that. Sometimes we'll host those in combination with someone else. The end of last year, before the pandemic, so the end of 2019, I was able to grow out to the Greater Washington Urban League and do sort of a combined session with them on entrepreneurship, share my experience in HMFI and some of the stories of our loan clients and what had been successful for their businesses. So you'd be sponsoring an event like that. The cost of this event really takes care of the transportation for us yet again, and then also materials that we provide, such as our business cards or handouts about what we do, so that they can take what they've learned home with them, take home our contact and sort of consider the work that we do and if that is a good fit for them. And I think that is so important. I think most importantly, this gift really sponsors a connection between us, our partners, and then other individuals and clients that can benefit from the organization. So that is all of our gifts. I also understand that obviously the coronavirus pandemic has been financially very difficult for all of us. So if you cannot support us financially, another way that you can help is, like I said, our partners are really critical to our work. So if you feel that you have a connection to a similar organization or someone that does, we so appreciate getting those contacts and having the opportunity to connect with more similar organizations to increase the impact of the work that all of these organizations do. They're all so great. And this is such an important issue in DC that we're looking to combat. So that is another way that you can help us. And with that, I am happy to take any questions.
Fantastic. Well, I have a couple questions I wrote down, and I think a group like this is such a twofer, if you will, because not only are you helping all these people that they're helping, but you're a bunch of students, right? You're 40 to 45 students. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And is there a faculty head to this department?
No, I mean, we're started by Georgetown students, but we own all of our capital. We are responsible for it. We're not leaning back on our university, and there's not this whole like Georgetown endowment behind it. So,
Right.
It's very personal to
Not too
us.
bad.
And that's why it's so important. That's why, we consider the client so carefully, take into consideration these community references, and really invest in value added projects that we think make a real impact on communities.
Have you been contacted by other university students from other universities about the same kind of setup, or where did this idea come from to get students involved with this?
So like I said, we were founded in 2008 by 4 Georgetown undergraduate students, and they were really inspired by the work that Muhammad Yunus did in Bangladesh, bringing microfinance to those communities and really using that as a tool for economic revitalization. And they really saw a need for that in DC, acknowledging the mass inequity in this city. And they really thought that these loans initially, like it was just loans, that would be really useful. And that's how it started. That's how it's grown every year. We give out, around 3 loans. So because of the sort of, small scale of this, we're really able to form personal relationships with our clients. Some of them do so well under the loans, they'll come back for a second loan. We have one of our clients, Aaron, he runs a bus service in DC, and he saw a need for that, and that his children didn't have the opportunity to be bused to school. So he took out a loan to buy a bus and help him afford that. So he did that. And then, that went so well, he was able to get a contract with the city and then take out another loan with us to purchase a second vehicle. And it's really like, these, because they're so small scale and so few students, we're really able to form these personal relationships. And I think both sides have benefited so much from that. I definitely, like I said, this has enriched my experience at Georgetown so much. I think this is really what college should really be all about, is making these real world connections and helping people. And that is really the work that we do that has always remained at the forefront. And those founders are still involved in the club. They are still the board. They still oversee every major decision, still really care about it. So even though you can only really be in it for 4 years, people are a part of it forever. So
Great. Well, I think, like I said, I think that's just incredible that that there's young people getting involved like that. Now that I'm older, I can say that young people, and it's fantastic because I think something like that, doing stuff like that when you're younger really lays the groundwork for the rest of your life, and it puts in, I think, empathy that is missing so much today in the world, and it's just a great thing to see and hear about. Well, thank you, Erica, so much, and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you.
All right, our next group, Project Knit Well. We're going to welcome Carol.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. And I'll just say, I think Erica is going to be a hard one to follow. Erica, that was a wonderful presentation. And hello to all the other presenters and the guest. This, I believe, is our second time to be participating in this fair, and we are thrilled to be invited back this year. I'm with Project Knit Well. I'm the founder and executive director, and we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. I started the organization because of an experience that I had being the mother of a pediatric patient some 30 years ago. When my daughter was 7 days old, we thought we had a healthy infant, but we didn't. At 7 days, she was diagnosed with multiple congenital heart defects. And I spent numerous weeks, months, hours at Georgetown Hospital. And it was really, I came to learn later that knitting is what provided me so much comfort while she was hospitalized. And so years later, I went back to volunteer at Georgetown Hospital, and I started to teach mothers of ill children how to knit, and then it's grown since then. Our mission then is to utilize knitting as a wellness tool to people who are in stressful situations. So it started at Georgetown. But it's moved to, we're now in 4 different hospitals: Children's National Medical Center, Georgetown, Virginia Hospital Center, and Inova Fairfax in their cancer center. And then we have also spread out to other community centers in the DC metro area, such as N Street Village, women struggling with homelessness. We're also at Friends of Guest House, which are for women who have recently been incarcerated. We're at the DC jail. We have a program there for women. Smith Center for the Healing of Arts, and then we're at a school in Rockville for kids with emotional challenges. So I like to say we're a small organization, but we're mighty, and we're almost entirely volunteer run. We have 3 very part-time paid staff and about 30 some volunteers, and our volunteers do all the knitting instruction, fundraising, marketing, all of that. It's volunteers. I'll show you the gifts, and then I can tell you some testimonials and answer questions. But our first gift, and I believe it's up for $10. I'm not 100% sure on that cost, but
15.
Is it 10, 15?
Yeah.
15. Okay, thanks. We are going to donate a winter hat. We've also added fingerless gloves to people who are within our existing site. So it might be a woman at N Street Village. It might be a student at Rockville at the school. And they look like this. There's a variety of them. Like here would be a winter hat. They'll be packaged in a bag with a card from us. We have some really cute ones these would be for babies that might be in the NICU or the pediatric ICU. Here's another cute one. Now, one thing I do want to say though, we are not an organization that generally knits outside and sends things into hospitals. We go in and teach people. We sit next to the patient. We even go into rooms in isolation and gown up and to teach the people. So we are teaching them. This initiative is something that came out of the pandemic because our volunteers were so missing working with the people that they work with, that we started a program called Knit Well Knits Back, which is probably what we will do once a year. We'll knit for the people that we teach to knit, to give them a gift. But we miss them. So there's a variety of these hats that you could purchase. And then we also, the next level, Jim, you can help me out on that.
$20.
20 is a knit kit. And this would be for someone, early in the pandemic, I received several requests from Georgetown Hospital, patients there who already knew how to knit, but they didn't have any supplies to knit because no one was able to come into the hospital and bring them anything. So we were able to send in kits, and they looked like this. So it would be a ball of yarn, a resource guide that we've done that has lots of patterns that they could make with this particular kind of yarn, a set of needles, everything's brand new, and then patterns. So we've sent several out to people already who we already work with in our existing sites. And then the last one, we started because of the pandemic. All right, since March, we had to stop working in our sites because volunteers weren't able to come in safely. So we developed a virtual program called Knit Well in the Cloud. There's a little poster on it. And basically, we were able to figure out a way to teach a person one-on-one live instruction using Zoom, but it's interactive. So it's not giving someone a YouTube on how to knit. It's being matched up with one of our instructors who already knows how to knit. We do it through a smartphone or a tablet and through the Zoom. And it's for beginners, because the most important thing in teaching is for the student to be able to see the teacher's hand and the teacher see the student's hand. So we've been able to do that. And so this gift would be to provide 5 knitting kits to people who are in our Knit Well in the Cloud program. And that looks like this. So it's similar, it's just they get a starter kit, which is a ball of yarn that's already started to be knit. This is what we teach them on. They're not making anything with this. And then we give them yarn to make, our first starter is to make a chunky scarf. So it would look something like this. We want our patterns to be simple and accomplished, because the whole idea is to have them be under less stress. And knitting, although there's a lot of research that shows that it reduces stress and can induce calmness, while you're learning, I tell people it can cause more stress. So once you learn, we want to make sure that you be able to accomplish it and proudly wear it or give it as a gift. So we have a variety of different kinds of simple cowl neck scarves that they could make as their first project. We take pride in giving nice yarn. Nice yarn, new yarn, banded yarn, never been used, that kind of thing. I want to just read to you something that one woman just recently wrote to us. She'd been a mother whose child was in the cardiac unit, coincidentally at Children's, because oftentimes once they're discharged, patients or family members are discharged, we don't know if they keep knitting, and that's okay, because we know that we helped them while they were in the hospital. But she wrote to us, she was looking for one of our volunteers, the one who had taught her. And here's what she said. One of your volunteers taught me how to knit 3 years ago when I was in the hospital with our son. 3 years later, we're back at the hospital with our son, and I'm still knitting, exclamation point. I've made scarves and headbands, and I've taught my 2 daughters. Just wanted to thank her for a priceless gift of talent. It has meant so much to know how to do this. Helps me with depression, anxiety, and stress. Thank you so much. I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful. And so many times we've heard this. Another NICU mom wrote us and said, Project Knit Well was my lifeline during the hardest period of my life. And we also started another initiative called Knit 2 Together. And it's really just a monthly Zoom knitting class like this. It's not a class, it's just a session where a group of knitters get together and talk and knit. And a woman sent us a donation, and she said, this donation is made with appreciation for the K2 Together knitting group. I can't begin to tell you how much joy it has brought to my life. And we are finding the isolation that is occurring during COVID-19. These just simple get-togethers have been very meaningful. So let's see. Yeah, another woman wrote us, she took a 50-year hiatus from knitting and writes and tells us how appreciative she is of our support, sending her the materials and helping her get back going again. So I always say, it's a simple wellness tool. It's portable. You can just have it in a bag. You can do it on a bus. You can do it almost anywhere. And but the research, there is research. We need more research, but there is research on the real wellness benefits of knitting. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. And I love how, with your group and all these charities, it's all from people, they all started from people who were like concerned. And it's
Right.
either, or had something happen to them. And it's either, you have two choices. You wallow in self-pity or you do something about it.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that you're one of those people who do something about it, and you get this going, and you share your knowledge and your experiences. Um, what other hospitals have you worked with back before you could go to, back when you can
Yeah.
go to hospitals?
Yeah, we're at MedStar Georgetown. We're at Children's National Medical Center. We have, I think, 3 different volunteers at Children's because that's a very large hospital, 7 floors of kids who are not well. Virginia Hospital Center, and then we're at the Shar Cancer Center at Inova Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your information.
thank you. I'll say one last thing. My
Absolutely.
daughter, the one that had the heart defects, she became a nurse, and her very first job was in the pediatric ICU unit at Georgetown where she was treated. And in fact, the same intensivist who was there when she was just 7 days old was still there
Wow.
when she started working there. So it had kind of a really nice full circle story. She's now at Fairfax Hospital in their PICU. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to hear that she's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next group, and we're doing great on time. So Shireen from Sister Mentors. You out there? There you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for having us today. I always love being a part of the Tacoma Alternative Gift Fair. It gives me such a thrill. And of course, we would always bring groups of our girls to also come out in person. But hey, this year we are doing it virtual, and so many advantages to doing things virtual as well. So thank you again so much. I'm Shireen Lewis, and I am the founder of Sister Mentors, which has been in existence now for over 20 years. And talking about, how people come to create, create things that serve others. I had a mentor when I was 8 years old. Her name was Dora, and she was 21, and she was a young teacher, and she just pushed me to do all kinds of things I thought as an 8-year-old I couldn't do. And so I was very instrumental in me being who I am today, especially my higher education degrees. I have a PhD as well as I'm a lawyer, so I have a JD as well. And so that is what I bring to Sister Mentors, because we help young girls of color from low-income families. We have a long-term commitment to them. We start with them in elementary and middle school and help prepare them for college admission through high school and college graduation and beyond. And we are seeing that many of them are going on to do masters and PhDs as well today. So the mentors for the girls are women of color who are working on dissertations for doctorates, whose Sister Mentors also helps to complete their project or their dissertation and earn their doctorates. And the girls in our program are from low-income families, and also some of them are the first or the part of the first generation in their families to go on to college and get a college degree. We are in the DC area. And when we say women and girls of color, we are talking about African American, Latinx, Asian American, Muslim American, immigrants, and refugees of color. So all girls of color. Some of the things that we do, of course, with pre-COVID, but we have brought a lot of our things online as soon as the shelter in place came into effect. So what we do in order to help our girls to understand the importance of preparing for college is they have, of course, mentoring. In addition to their time with their mentors, we have mentoring sessions once a month where girls meet one-on-one with their mentors, and we also discuss social issues, current issues that are taking place. Also, 5 days during their spring break on a college campus. Is what we used to do pre-COVID. Now with COVID this year, we did virtual college tours. But you went pre-COVID, 5 days on a college, either one college campus or 2 or 3 different college campuses we would do. And these these are where we girls get to attend classes. They meet with women of color students. They eat in the dining hall. They meet the president of the university, especially those universities that have women presidents. We want our girls to see and hear from women leaders. Also, we do workshops like our social skills and leadership workshops and other workshops as well. So all this pre-COVID, a lot of it we have brought online, and we do now with COVID. And mentoring sessions are going so much stronger and so much better online, because since our girls are from low-income families, a lot of them had problems with transportation getting to our sites. Now all they have to do is to get online and be right there with us and with their mentors. So let me talk a little bit about our gifts. So we have a journal for one girl, and this is really for our girls to record their thoughts, hopes, and dreams. Particularly important at this time with COVID, since our girls have, expressed feeling sort of isolated, very much stuck at home, loneliness, that kind of stuff. And so we have encouraged them to keep a daily journal to write down their thoughts and their feelings. Very important when we're trying to maintain mental health, mental and emotional health. So that's the journal for one girl. And so the other gift we have is the social skills and leadership workshop, virtual, right? Pre-COVID, we used to do a wonderful workshop at the Jefferson Hotel, which was very generous in having us use their space and all that stuff. So now it's all virtual. And social skills and leadership, since we are committed to the care and nurturing of the next generation of women of color leaders, training them our girls to become leaders is very important. So we do things like helping them to advocate for themselves in their schools and in their communities, public speaking skills, which for some adults, it scares some adults to death to speak in public. Our girls are learning to get past the fear in a very supportive and loving environment, which is the best environment to learn, and also how to speak up. For instance, one of our young women who started with us in 6th grade, who is now in 11th grade, she always talks about how she used to be scared to death to speak in front of her class when she had to do a class presentation. Her knees would buckle, her voice would shake. At one point she actually froze when she had to do a presentation, and the whole room went silent, and she just grabbed her stuff and ran out of that classroom. So she now does presentations and have all this self-confidence, and it's just wonderful. And does all this wonderful public speaking, because we have asked her time and time again and helped her to train in public speaking. The other gift that we have is our noise canceling headphones, right? So half of the cost of a noise canceling headphone. And why this particular gift? Well, this is what I like to say is a sort of COVID-19 gift, right? So we started hearing from our young women in high school and in college that we knew that they're living in small, cramped spaces where other siblings are also taking classes. And there are some adults who, of course, have lost their jobs because of COVID, who are also at home. The noise was really very distracting, preventing them from continuing their learning. So we listened carefully to that and thought about how can we respond to this, since one of our girls also reported that her grades were suffering because of this. So that's where the noise canceling headphones came in. And we actually had someone who actually bought one for one of our young women in college. She is at Georgetown University, and she used it and reported such excellent results. She was actually sharing a headphone with one of her other siblings. So she now has her own headphone, and it's canceling out the noise, and she's able to take her classes. So these are the gifts that we are offering today at the Alternative Gift Fair. And just to wrap up, I think for us, when we think about system mentors, when we talk about system mentors, we like to say, we always say that we have helped over 90 women of color to earn higher education degrees. And this is our way of helping to advance the larger movement for equity and justice for people of color. So thank you so much for having Sister Mentors be with you today. And any questions you have, please.
Fantastic. Such an important group and such important work that you're doing. So you said 95, you have 95 girls who have graduated who have been in the Sister Mentor program?
Women of color who have graduated and gotten higher education degrees.
Excellent.
Yes.
And how many kids in general in total? Anyway.
When we look at our numbers, we are talking about over 100, girls and mentors. And so, yes, so that's how we do that.
Fantastic. And oh, Carol, go ahead.
I had a quick question for Shireen. How did the girls come to you? How do you find them, or how are they referred?
Right, referred by teachers and guidance counselors, because they would be the ones to know who are getting free and reduced price meals. That's the criteria for low income, and also because they know the girls and their families quite well, and we want to have a connection with the guidance counselor as the girls go through their life with us, so that we can be both coordinating and being able to support in a sort of coordinated way. So teachers and guidance counselors.
Can you accept all of the girls that are referred?
Not always, but we do have a waiting list, and we bring girls on as we can. Yes, that's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful, your organization.
Shireen, I had a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind. I know you've been with AGGW for a little while now, and I wanted to ask, what have you seen? Have you seen that we've helped you? Has it helped bring in some money? Has it raised awareness?
It has been extremely helpful. Of course, pre-COVID, we would be in that big church, in the big church basement, which would be wonderful. We'll have live music. We have big crowds coming in, to the point where the space could hardly hold us, the people that are coming. I always tell people that one of the things I love about the fair is that I see people's commitment. I see ordinary people in the neighborhood who walk in with their children, which is so wonderful. They walk in with they have their young children with them, and they are actively engaged in talking to us. A lot of these young children engage our girls who are at our table, ask questions. It's a wonderful thing to start to train kids to understand that there are people out there who are in need, and who, if you are in a position, you can help. And I think that's the wonderful thing when I see parents bringing their children to these fairs. I just marvel at the learning that's taking place. And yes, the gift fair has helped us tremendously. We have gotten great contributions from the gift fair, and we have used them. And I think also our girls coming to the fair too, they themselves have understood that there are people who can help when they're in a position that and then when our girls are in positions to help and give back, they can do the same thing and also bring their children along to do the same thing too. So I really feel very privileged to be part of the fair, and very good about being part of the Tacoma neighborhood.
Excellent. And my last question is, so have you had some of your mentorees turn into mentors themselves?
Yes, we have our young women who come back to talk to our girls about their college experience. As a matter of fact, many times we even take our girls on college campuses where our young women are actively in college, and we have them see them in action on a college. The idea is to demystify college, because these are first generation students, right? So they can see themselves on a college campus. And so when you have someone, let's say like Jessica, who used to help her parents when she was 10 years old clean stores at night. When she goes on to William and Mary, and she becomes a leader and get very involved with DACA students and helping to pass state legislation for DACA students. When they see her and she tells her story about where she came from and what she's doing today, believe me, that makes such a wonderful difference. The ripple effects of that are immeasurable.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shireen. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing those stories. All these gifts from all of our vendors are available on aggw.org. And remember to share that around, share that website around to everybody and let them know, because we're open for shopping now all the way through December. So definitely send that around. Thank you so much.
Thank you so.
All right. So the last group of this hour is I want to welcome Montre from Court Appointed Special Advocates, CASA. Montre, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank
Hey,
you,
Montre, how are
Jim.
you? And just
I'm good.
me and Montre and I used to work together at National Education Association too. So
Yes,
great to see you.
it is. It's really good seeing Jim, and just reflecting back while at NEA on the Alternative Gift Fair, it was always an event that was always looked forward to, and everyone participated in, and Jim did an excellent job coordinating our involvement. So I'm so glad that it's still happening, and now I'm glad to participate in a different capacity. So thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
All right, so I am Montre Dupree. I am the outreach coordinator with Court Appointed Special Advocate in Prince George's County. Also joining us this morning is Anna Woodfin, our volunteer recruitment coordinator. She's a service coordinator with through AmeriCorps. So thank you, Anna, for coming on to give me some support this morning. And Jim, I would like to actually share my screen. I did provide a small PowerPoint to go over while I'm presenting, if that's okay.
We may not be able.
Nope, I'm not able to. It's okay.
Okay, so
I have printouts too. I printed it out.
Hold them up. Hold them up.
So we're fine. So Court Appointed Special Advocates provides best interest advocacy for youth in foster care. We recruit volunteers from our community. We provide training, ongoing support, so that youth in foster care have at least one consistent adult in their life as they're transitioning through care. To be there and to support them. Currently, we're serving 210 youth in foster care. We have over 149 volunteers. At any given day, there are over 500 youth in the Prince George's County foster care system. Court Appointed Special Advocates, we are a friend of the court. We are independent, and we provide independent reports to the court based on our findings while we spend time with youth. And now more than ever, it's so critical that we keep eyes on kids. Because of the pandemic, it has been very difficult for cases to be reported. However, we know that during pandemics, abuse and neglect cases are difficult to report. However, we do expect a rise in reports once we're out of this. And so CASA has continued our advocacy. We are so thankful that all of our volunteers have continued on with their cases. We've adjusted our practices to virtually advocate for our youth. We have virtual visits. Case supervisors are meeting with CASA volunteers twice a week to ensure that there's ongoing and consistent support for youth and their families even. We've been able to provide PPEs to our volunteers as well as to our CASA youth. We've provided additional resources to families who have now become kinship care because youth who were out of placement were able to be welcomed into their homes. However, because it was unexpected because we had transition youth, we were able to provide supplies to the family and give them ongoing support through donations. So as a former CASA former CASA volunteer also, I know firsthand why it's so critical to have that we are able to recruit and really train volunteers to provide this critical service. We don't require that our volunteers have a background in social work, but we do ask that they have the compassion, the willingness, and the ability to commit. And in doing so, and taking on this work, we're working with youth who have experienced trauma, youth who are sometimes who have been exposed to human trafficking, domestic violence. And as general citizens, they don't necessarily always know how to respond or how to provide a support to our CASA youth. And that's why it's critical that we have training. And so one of our gift options is actually the training of a volunteer, to provide training to volunteers. You can see this here. So a gift of $100 will actually provide training services for a court-appointed special advocate. And as I mentioned before, as youth are transitioning in care, many times they're out of placement, either voluntarily or involuntarily, having to move unexpectedly, and they need an emergency kit, hygiene kit, those things. And so your gift of $20 will provide an emergency hygiene kit. And we keep those items in our closet at CASA, and CASA volunteers come into the office and make arrangements to pick up those items so that they can share them with youth. Additionally, the youth that we serve, the largest population of youth within the foster care are between ages 14 to 21. Those youth still have ongoing needs, especially for employment. We do have a workforce development training coordinator who partners with organizations to help our youth prepare with soft skills as well as technical skills. So as they're transitioning out, they're more marketable and they're able to secure successful employment. So a gift of $35 will provide transportation services will help us to provide transportation support to a youth getting to and from job interviews, and sometimes even getting to their actual place of employment. So court-appointed special advocates, we receive a lot of our most of our funding is through state and local and government grants. We do not have an ongoing stream of contractual income. So we rely heavily on grants as well as individual philanthropy and foundation support. And we are so diligent in how we appropriate those donations that 85% of our donations go into the programmatic support so that we can ensure that we are recruiting volunteers, we're training volunteers, and we're providing best interest advocacy for the youth that we serve in the community. So Jim, that pretty much concludes my presentation.
That's so cool. I mean, I knew about CASA, but I didn't know all the ins and outs of it. So that, again, yes. This is why this presentation setup here is so great for all these groups. Yes. And this just reminds me of it kind of makes me angry because it's like, this should not be a charitable organization. You guys should be totally funded. And so many of the groups, they should be totally funded for the work that you do that's so important, has an impact on children's lives. And it's so frustrating to hear that, you don't even have a source of income. It's all grants and charity.
Yes, yes. And one of the things too that I've noticed during this, especially during the pandemic, this is giving season. Tuesday was kicked off Giving Tuesday, but also the CFC campaigns are underway. The Maryland Charitable Contribution campaigns are also underway. And when you look at the number of nonprofit organizations that are providing wraparound services, think about if those nonprofits weren't here during this pandemic. Yeah. What would happen? What would happen if there weren't committed volunteers to continue those services? Services that have now even vamped up in the need. So, and they've continued their commitment. So it's just so critical. I know I'm here for CASA Prince George's County, but I think all of us are just doing such yeoman's work in terms of the services that we provide. And the community really I'm afraid to think where we would be
Right.
if we didn't have organizations and people who care enough to commit their time and service without a payment, just because of the generosity of their heart and compassion to give to others and make a difference. So I'm thankful to be a part of this. I'm more thankful that I have the will and the desire to help others. So I just thank you and appreciate you for having me participate in this.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I'll ask you, we have a few more minutes before we
Uh-huh.
transition over to the next
Okay.
groups.
Okay.
So you said there's 500 kids in foster care. How many kids have CASA actually reached out and helped?
So CASA has been in existence. We'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary next year, but we're currently providing services to 210 youth.
Hmm.
And that's with over 149 volunteers. So some volunteers actually have partnered with sibling cases,
Mhm.
and we have a waiting list. Anna, do you know how many we have right now on the waiting list?
Um, Probably between 15 and 20.
So between 15 and 20 youth are on our waiting list for a CASA. But our ultimate goal is that we provide an advocate to every youth in foster care. Because they all need, we look for the ones who have the critical high needs, but every youth is really a critical and high need when it's determining an adult being committed to them as they're transitioning out of care.
Absolutely. And as far as staff, how many volunteers did you say you had right
We
now?
have about 149 volunteers
And do you have
and 8 staff. Well, no, let's see, we have about 10 staff members.
10 staff? And this is all over Prince George's County, right? This is
Right. Our offices are located in Riverdale, but CASA itself we're an affiliate organization. So there's a CASA Prince George's County, a CASA Montgomery County, and Anne Arundel County. So there are other affiliates as well, but we are CASA Prince George's County.
okay. Well, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for coming out and sharing all that. And I loved your manual PowerPoint.
Thank
Worked
you.
great.
Yes,
And,
thank you very much.
look, hopefully this will all be done and we'll be able to meet face to face next year, and you won't even need the PowerPoint. But if not, we will make sure next year you'll be able to share the PowerPoint.
Thank you. This is great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So as we
Okay.
wrap up the second hour, I want to thank everybody for coming out, for showing up coming out, for sitting at home and having a computer so you can log in and watch everything. I want to thank Erica from Hilltop Microfinance Initiative, Carol from Project Knitwell, Shireen from Sister Mentors, and Montre from Court Appointed Special Advocates CASA for Prince George's County. All fantastic groups. And just remember to share that we're around, that we can shop. One of the things I love about AGGW is, and it was so funny when I started doing the NEA gift fair, that it was people trying to understand. It's like, wait, what exactly is this? What do you mean alternative gift? And I had to show them the card, and it's like, this is what you give as a gift. And like, what? I don't understand. So I had to, as you go through, it's like, oh, I see. You give the card as a gift, right? So, and I always tell people that, if you try to give the gift card to like a 5 or 7-year-old, they're probably not going to be very happy with you. So the way I like to use the cards is, I used to buy one for everybody in my office, because nobody needs another coffee mug, right? Nobody needs another pen set. So I would buy these and I'd write a little affirmation on the back to the person and give them out to everybody in the office. And they were so much better. It was great. I also like to use the gift cards or the gift certificates when we bake cookies for the neighbors. I'll put one of them on there, or tie it to a bottle of wine if I go to if I go to a party and we bring a bottle of wine or beer, whatever, I'll tie one with curl the ribbon and everything and just tie it on there as a little extra gift. I think it's really nice. And there's so many different options of gifts to choose from, over 50 different gifts. And, no matter what your cause, we have a gift that, or whatever, your cause or the cause that you think the person may be into that you're going to give the gift to, there is a gift out there for them, and they're all so important. So I do want to thank everybody for coming out. We are going to be transitioning over at 2:00 to the next set of people. And I'm going to post that real quick here so everybody can see.